Hi, my name is RGMINE13TRIC and I'd like to welcome you to A Card Merrily Thought Of. Thank you very much for purchasing this product, and I'm pretty certain that if you like what you saw in the trailer, you will like the method, the secret to all of this. Before we go into the secret, before we go into the detailed explanation, I want to give you a short overview, a short structure on what's following. Directly after this clip here, you will see two performance videos, and after the performance videos we will go into a very short explanation, a very short overview of everything, because directly after that I want to cover also very quickly the history, the origins of the think card idea, think card plot, and the principles that I used in here. I don't cover it very long because it would take like 20 minutes or half an hour, because I had to go back like 500 years into the past, believe it or not. But I've listed like 40 different people and products in the PDF that you get along with this download. And if you are interested in the think card idea or the other principle that is used in here, I really encourage you to look up some of the stuff I've listed in the PDF. Along with this PDF also there are two links of studies I found in the internet, which are very interesting to read. And they are about the studies where they tested people. They asked them, for example, think of a card, and then they wrote down the data on what card got named most often in several different occasions and situations. Just read through it, it's very quick and but very interesting. When we have the short explanation, the short history of the effect, and the origins of the principles in here, I will go into a very detailed explanation of phase 1. Phase 1 is when you take the cards and fan them in front of the spectator's eyes and they just look at the card. And after that explanation of everything, you will be able to do everything, the complete phase 1. Phase 2 will follow directly after that, and this is when they shuffle and cut and take the card themselves without the magician even touching. And if you're through with phase 1 and phase 2 with detailed explanation, then you are completely done with everything, because all alongside these explanation of phase 1 and phase 2, I deliver a few of the subtleties that I found. You will have a lot of ideas to adapt this to your performance style or to your character. You don't have to leave the presentation like just as you saw in the trailers. There are a lot of things that you can change, and I hope that you will. And in our Facebook group, A Card Merrily Thought Of by RGMINE13TRIC, then you will have probably a few people. We will have probably a great discussion over the next month on how to improve this effect, how to use the principle that you will learn in a minute to adapt to even other ideas, other areas in mentalism. And I also will try to explain at the end how you can use this in other languages, because it's primarily for English people, and you will later on, English speaking people, later on you will understand why. So yeah, enough talk, let's go right into it. For participating. I have a deck of cards and I want you to have a quick look through them. Take them, go through them, and make sure that no card is repeating itself. You don't see all the cards are different or so, and you see a deck of cards, a full deck of cards with different cards. Perfect. Yes. And in a second, I'm going to spread the cards in front of your eyes like this. I'm going to shuffle them. And I want you to only see a card, to only look at the card, and don't tell me which one, don't point at it, anything. Just look at the card, and I will try to find out which one you're looking at. Okay? You can go for a second card. You don't have to take the first card you're seeing. You can go through the middle of the cards or somewhere and then...
I can choose one.
Yeah, choose.
Okay.
Gonna spread the cards, and I want you to only see one.
Okay.
You have one?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. You know what would be totally amazing? If I tell you right away that you chose the Ace of Hearts.
No.
It would be amazing. Right?
Yeah, okay.
But no, it wasn't. I didn't. No, I just said it would be amazing, but as a mind reader, as I told you before, I need you to do a little bit of process. I need to see the words that you are thinking of.
Okay.
And now I want you to try this. Imagine you see the name of your card. Let's say it would be Ace of Spades. You would see Ace of Spades written in letters in between the air in between us.
Okay.
Can you concentrate on the first word, please, of your card?
Okay.
Not the whole,
okay.
Just
okay.
the first word. Now.
Okay.
I see the letter E is in there, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And then I see it's kinda at the end of the word. Right?
What is at the
end of the word? It's some of the last letters. Letter E, Buchstabe E.
No.
Okay, let's do it this way. The picture got a little bit blurry. Let's try it in another way. I can see that quite good. Can you say the name of your card in your mind loud? Don't speak it out, just say the name of that either number or card. Okay. Is it, did you say 8 of spades, 8 of clubs?
Yes.
8 of clubs?
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thanks, that works good. Let's try it. Let's try it different, okay?
Okay.
While I was doing this, I thought to myself, why did I not let you shuffle the cards and pick one yourself? So please shuffle them. It doesn't have to look fancy.
Okay.
Just make them a little bit mixed up in a way you like.
Okay.
Yes.
It's my style. I'm sorry.
Yeah, perfect. That's really mixed up if you do it that way. And then crumble them together.
Oh. Okay.
Okay, now cut the cards. Take the first card and have a look at it. Remember it?
Okay. And now?
Now close the deck.
Okay.
Good. You know the name of the card in English? Yes, okay, perfect. So this time it would be maybe a little bit easier because I know how your mind works. Do it another way this time. Only focus on the color of the card. It's either red or it's black. And try to see this color your card is having on my hand.
Okay. Just the color.
You know.
Okay.
Perfect. It's the same color as your shirt. It's red, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay, now do it that way that you see a word again, but the first word of this card, the name, the first again, like four.
Okay. Yeah.
Definitely the letter E again inside, and definitely at the end.
It's inside, but
yeah, don't give me any.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay. Say the last letter of this word. I don't know. The E is the last or the second last. Don't give me any tips. But now say the last letter of this word in your mind. You just said N.
Yes.
Perfect. And it looks like one letter is twice in there.
No.
No? Okay, let's do it again this way. Say the whole name, the name of the whole card in your mind.
Okay.
10 of diamonds.
Yes, that's true.
Cool, thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for sitting down.
You're welcome.
Thanks. Look, normal deck of cards. All the 52 cards are in there. I'll spread them out. If you want, you can have a look through them yourself. If you want.
Or should I take it?
No, you can. It's just to make sure. I'm gonna shuffle the cards a little bit just to make sure that you see that they are all in there. Like 52 different cards.
Yeah.
If you want, you can look at the back sides. They are not marked or anything. Perfect. So look, I'm gonna spread the cards in front of your ace like this, and you're gonna just look at one and try to remember it. And I'm gonna try to read your mind. Okay. So don't use the first card because I saw it.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay. Have a look at one. You got one?
Yes.
Perfect. So, you know what would be amazing? If I told you right away that you chose the Ace of Hearts. But, mind reading isn't as easy as that, because I can't just guess what card you're thinking. I need you to visualize the word.
Yeah.
Like if you would have chosen the Ace of Hearts, just imagine the word Ace of Hearts. Okay? The 3 words. Do this with your card. Imagine the words, but now focus only on the first word. If it would be Ace, you would see 3 letters, A, C, E.
Yeah.
Are you doing this?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I see that that letter E is in there.
Yeah.
Right? And it's somewhere at the end of the word. Can you concentrate on the position? If it's the last letter or the second last? It's the second last letter, right?
Yeah.
Can you concentrate on the last letter of this word? Okay, say the last letter in your mind. You just said N.
Yeah.
And I'm a little bit confused. I saw the picture got a little bit blurry. There was one letter twice in there. Is it right? One letter is twice. Can you say that letter? E. Okay, now I'm gonna say that's working very fine. Can you say the word that you're just thinking of, that word in your mind over and over again? Repeat it over and over like queen, queen, queen. Now say the whole card. If it would be Ace of Spades, you would say Ace of Spades. You said 7 of Hearts, right?
No.
Queen of Hearts.
Yeah.
You said Queen of Hearts.
Yeah.
I was confused by a number that I got. Did you look at the 7 before?
Yeah.
you were gonna choose the 7, but now you had chosen the Ace of Hearts, the Queen of Hearts.
Queen of Hearts.
Perfect. And let's do this again.
Okay.
But a little bit different now. While I was doing this with you, I thought, why did I not let you shuffle the cards and pick one? So now please shuffle the cards.
Oh god.
Just make him.
I can't really do it very well.
No problem, no problem. Doesn't have to look good. Yeah, with a shuffle if you like. Yeah.
Yeah, well.
The main thing is...
I haven't done this very often, so...
Cool. The main thing is they're a little bit mixed up. Okay.
Okay.
Cool. Now lay them on the table and just cut anywhere. Take half of the cards or whatsoever, put them aside. Look at the first card here. Remember it. Okay?
Wait, let me think how it's called.
Okay.
Okay, wait, I will switch the card.
Okay.
Or do I have to do it again? Like.
Yeah, just mix them up again. Yeah, take the first card. You remember it, then put it somewhere back into the deck. Close the deck, close the cards, and we try this again. So now, again, if I would be a mind reader, I would look into your eyes and say, it's a 4. It's a 4 of spades. But you need to do it again with me in a really in a way that you tell me the card with your mind. Now, because this first time we did it was very good, this second time will be a little bit more faster. I have it easier to read your mind right now.
Yeah.
Think about the first word again. Like if it would be Ace of Hearts, Ace of Hearts. Think about the first word of your card. Okay, let's do it that way. Imagine seeing the color. If it's a red card, like hearts or diamonds, you would see red in my hand. If it's a black card, like spades or pique oder Kreuz, spades or clubs, you would see black. Definitely a red card, perfect. Now concentrate. I see there's also the letter E is also in there. Right?
Yeah. I just wanted to think of it, yeah.
Can you concentrate on the position of the E? Again, I think it's the last letter, could be the second last. There's also an N in there, right?
Yeah.
Can you concentrate on the N? I think the N is the... at the end the word is a little bit blurry again. N is the last. Don't say anything. I try to see it. The N is the last letter. Am I right? Concentrate on the last one. Okay, the N is the second last letter.
Yeah.
Try to say the name of the card in your mind, the whole card. That was very clear. You said nine of diamonds.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Oh my god, this is so weird. Like.
Perfect. So now that you saw the performance videos, I guess at least now a few of you will have a pretty good idea on what's going on here, but maybe most of you will not be able to put all the pieces together and understand what was happening here. So, one of the secrets here is that I'm using an anagram. Most of you will have guessed that, but it's not just an anagram. I use another technique in here. So, because an anagram would have not been so realistic looking, and also it would have not been something new. For those of you who don't know what an anagram is, I will cover that in a few minutes. The second trick or method that I'm using here is forcing cards. And I combine these techniques so that I'm having a really devious anagram, a really devious idea method to deliver the illusion of mind reading. So when I fan the cards in front of the ace of the spectator, I'm forcing 10 cards to the spectator's ace, but they see all the cards, like all the 52 cards, but they can read only like 10 cards. I'm gonna show you later on how to do that, how to fan like that. And I'm having an anagram with these 10 cards. For those of you who don't know what an anagram is, just shortly, it's making advantage of the words that you memorized and that can possibly be chosen by a spectator. Let's say you tell them, please think of a card, and then you know that they will think from ace to king, one of these items, objects, and you know, maybe or maybe not, that the letter E is inside 8 of these words, 8 of 13 words. So statistically more often than all the other letters inside the word. If you know, tell your spectator that you see the letter E inside his thought of word, hence card, then you will have a great chance to be right, because in most of these words from ace to king the letter E is inside. This is sort of the basic idea of an anagram. But yeah, most anagrams are a little bit long winding and sometimes feel like a too much like fishing and asking for something, so I had to find a way to make this much more believable, and I thought, why not forcing a few cards and having a short anagram with these. These 10 cards are chosen carefully because they fit well together. I did not use different cards randomly and put them together in an anagram. I tried out different possibilities, which cards are fitting well with each other, and then I found 10 cards that are really good working in an anagram, and I use them now. In the second phase, when the spectator takes a card, shuffles and takes a card himself, I'm using 4 cards that I'm forcing to him through a breather crimp. For those of you who don't know what this is, we will go into that later. So yes, I'm having also an anagram with these 4 cards that I'm forcing. Basically, 4 cards with a breather crimp, they will shuffle the cards. It doesn't matter how long they shuffle, in which way they shuffle. When they cut, they will cut on one of these forcing cards. Yes, and they will then look at one of these forcing cards, and then you go into your anagram. So now a little bit to the history of the think card plot, and then the history of anagrams. As I said, very shortly, because it would take much too long. If you are more interested into it, go and look the PDF and go through all the stuff that I wrote down there. It's very, very interesting, and you will learn a lot. The person who got referenced for the think card plot most is Dai Vernon. Dai Vernon seems to be like the founder of the think a card idea, although he is not the founder per se. I had to find reliable information that I could give you right now. But the most reliable thing that I could find then was back 1900, about that 1930s maybe, Dai Vernon. And he gets credited the most for bringing this think card plot idea into the game. What he does, very interesting, he had like 5 cards in his hands. He showed it to the spectator, or they were laid down on the table. The spectator had only to look through the cards and select one in his mind, and then Dai Vernon was able to tell him which card he's thinking of without asking any questions. It's very interesting, although not 100% reliable. And just shortly to give you an idea on what this is based on, it's almost based on, or maybe 100% based on psychology. For example, there were an ace of hearts in the selection of these 5 cards, and Dai Vernon thought that most people won't go for this card because most spectators think, well, the ace of hearts is a card most people go for, that's why I will not go for it, because I don't want to be fooled that easy. And all the cards are carefully selected with the psychology background to manipulate the thinking of the spectator that is asked to think of one of these cards. And I don't know how much the percentage is, but maybe like 70%, maybe 80%, or even higher, I don't know, of all the people that got asked to think of one of these cards did go for the same card. It worked with me, and I saw it performed on some other guy, while I didn't have any idea on how it was done, and it was amazing. Even as a magician back then, I was blown away by that, because I had no idea. Yes, so far to the think card plot. When it comes to PAs, progressive anagrams or anagrams, then the first name I could find was from 1920s. Stanley Collins was his name. And as far as I know, I think he was probably the first person who came up with something that could be called an anagram related to magic. So that's it so far. Now you have a quick overview over everything, and let's get right into the detailed explanation. Okay, what you are seeing here are the 10 cards that are in play. These are the 10 cards that I'm forcing to the spectators' ace, to their views. As you can see, one card is sticking out a little bit, it's the Ace of Hearts. Why is that? It's because this is the only card that is not in the anagram. It's a card with I try a fishing attempt with at the beginning. All the other 9 cards, these are the cards that I'm having an anagram with. Okay, so what do I do at the beginning after I close the fan of the cards? I ask the spectator, you know what would be totally amazing? If I told you right away that you chose the Ace of Hearts. If the spectator had chosen the Ace of Hearts, which is in many cases, in many situations the case, then he will react at that point because he thinks that I just read his mind. Why is the Ace of Hearts chosen very often? Because these 10 cards are in about the middle of our fan. And the Ace of Hearts is in the middle of these 10 cards. And also it's a very beautiful card, a very high card. Most people like the Ace of Hearts, and they have, even hecklers have no reason not to go for it, since you have absolutely no control over what card they will think of, only in their mind, when you fan the cards in front of their ace. So if you would have asked someone just to think of a card in their minds, then they probably would have maybe think about not to go for the ace or the queen or the king, because these are cards that get chosen most often and they don't want to be fooled that easy. But in this case, when the Ace of Hearts is in their ace and they have a free choice while you are facing away, the deck was shuffled, etc, etc, they have no reason not to go for it. So this gets chosen very often. And when this is the case, at this point they think you just have read their mind and the trick is over. You shuffle, you fan the cards in front of the ace, you close the fan and you tell them right away that you know what they're thinking. Trick is over. But what if they not chose the Ace of Hearts? Then they will not react. So what I'm looking for is facial expressions, reactions in general. Okay, so if they don't react at that point, or if they say, yeah, but I didn't choose the Ace of Hearts, like you saw in the performance video with Nicole, then I just say it was an example. I didn't mean to tell you that you had chosen the card. I just told you that it would have been amazing if that's your card, and I would tell you that. But mind reading isn't as easy as that. You go on and say that you need to have them really think about the name of the card and visualizing the word in written letters in between you and them. So they need to focus the word in the air and see the letters as if they are written in the air. Then you give them another example. You tell them, and please do this, some spectators might mistaken the instructions. I had that at the beginning. If you would have chosen the Ace of Hearts for example, then the first word that you now please concentrate on would be the word ace. If you would have chosen the 7 of diamonds, the first word would be 7. Please concentrate on that word. And from that point on, you go into the anagram. And I'm gonna show you the anagram right now. So what you're seeing here is the complete anagram for the first phase, for the 9 cards. This is everything, guys. If you had remembered that, you are able to do the complete first phase. Some might now think, how long will I try to remember this? If you ever tried, or if you ever have memorized a deck of cards, this will take you roughly about a fifth of that same time. So because you only have to learn 9 cards. Basically what you are just looking at the very first left top, there's one sentence. It says there's an E in the word, right? You have an 80% chance that this is right. Now they can either answer yes or no. No, there is no E, yes, there is one. If they say yes, you follow down the small arrow and go to the next sentence and say something like, and it's somewhere at the end, and so on and so on. They either say yes or no. And you always follow the arrows that give you the possibilities that are now opened after their answer. You're gonna say at the very first, there's an E in the word, right? Let's pretend they say no. Then you follow down the arrow and you're left with two possible cards that they could now think of. It's the 2 and the king. The king of spades and the 2 of hearts, to be exact. What you're now doing to find out what card they are thinking of is a repeated ploy. This is basically you just tell them, and you have to do a reframe at this point. I'm gonna tell you how to do that now. You tell them that, okay, you thought that there was an E in there, but the picture is a little bit blurry. You can't see it right that way. Let's try it in another way. Please forget about concentrating on the letters. Try it different and say the word that you are thinking of in your mind. And repeat the word. Okay, repeat it over and over again, like king, king, king. I'm doing a repeated ploy with king at this point. When they are thinking of king, they will react at that point, because in their mind it sounded like as if you could hear them say king, and you just said it. If they are thinking of the 2, then this repeating of the word king would just have looked to them as if you just tried to give them instructions on how to think of that word. And trust this anagram. You can rely on it. It works. If they react on king, if they smile or smirk or freak out, then you know, of course, it's the king exactly. And you know it must be the king of spades, because that's the only king inside this card. If they don't react, then you know they must think of the card 2. And we know there's only 1, 2 in our stack, so it must be the 2 of hearts. And then you're done. So this is the basic procedure, basic system of the whole anagram. And now we'll go through everything now. You already know 2 cards. Now we're left with 7. So first thing, there's an E in the word, right? They say yes. Then you have 3, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10 and queen left as possible cards they can think of. The next thing you need to memorize is that you say, and it's somewhere at the end. If they're gonna say yes, you're left with 3, 5, 7, 9, 10 and queen. If they're gonna say no, you follow down the arrow and you know it must be the 8. The 8 of spades. The 8 of clubs. So a little recap. Let's say they had chosen the 8 of clubs. What would they now think of? They would think of the word 8. The first thing you're gonna say is there's an E in the word, right? Because the very first letter in the word 8 is E, they're gonna say yes. And then you say, and it's somewhere at the end. And they're gonna just think 1 second about it and then say no. Then you already know the complete card at this point. It's that easy, okay? Now you're down with 3 cards. You already know 3 cards out of that 10. You know 4 cards. You know how to reveal the ace. You know how to reveal the 8, the 2 and the king. Okay, now, what if they're gonna say yes, the E is somewhere at the end? Then you say, I think the second last letter. You say something like, I'm seeing it is maybe the second last letter, right? Very important. Please, always let these questions or statements sound exactly 50% question, 50% statement. You don't want to have your spectator think that you're just questioning. This would look stupid. And you always don't want him to think that you're stating that you're 100% sure that the E is inside and it's the second last letter. The way you frame these sentences should give you the possibility that you sound both ways. So if you say, I think it's the second last letter, and if they say now, no, it's not bad, because you didn't set that you were 100% sure. And at this point you were right 2 times in a row anyway. Now you have a little failure. You saw that it's the second last letter and they say no. But anyways, now you know you're left with 2 cards. It's either the 5 or the 9. Both of them are clubs. Now again, as I told you before with the 2 and the king, now I'm doing the same repeated ploy with 9. I'm gonna do a reframe again and tell them, the picture isn't clear anymore as at the beginning. Please think about the word that you are thinking as if you would say it loud in your mind. Okay, say it loud in your mind and repeat it. Repeat it over and over again like 9, 9, 9, 9. If they react, you know it's the 9 of clubs. If they don't react, it must be the 5 of clubs. But what if they had said yes? Yes, the second last letter is the E. Then you're gonna say, I also see an N in there. If they say no, follow down the arrow, we are left with 3. The 3 of spades. This is the only card that they can now think of. If they say yes, you're left with 7, 10 and queen. What you're now gonna say is, please say the last letter in your mind. You wait a second, they're gonna say this letter in their mind, and this letter is 100% N, because 7, 10 and queen, the letter N is the last letter in these words always. Now you're gonna say, I could hear you say the letter N, right? You can frame this 100% sure, because it's right. The next thing you say, now please say the first, the second and third letter of your word in your mind. They're gonna either say S-E-V-T-E-N or Q-U-E regarding the word that they're thinking of out of these 3. Then you say, I am confused, 1 letter seems to be twice in there, am I right? If they're gonna say no, you know it must be the 10 of spades. If they're gonna say yes, you're left with 7 and queen. And at this point I'm doing also a repeated ploy with the queen, because the queen gets chosen more often out of these cards. Now you're through with the whole anagram for the first phase, and I hope that was clear enough. One little thing you need to be aware of, okay? If they had chosen the 10 of spades, there's one thing you need to be aware of. Let's say they have chosen the 10 of spades. We're now going through the exact procedure. They're thinking of the word 10. The first thing you say, there's an E in the word. They say yes, and it's somewhere at the end. So at this point I had it that some people are not sure how to answer this, because the letter E, yes, it is at the end of this word, but it's also in the middle, in the exact middle of these 3 letters. So some people are struggling to give you an exact answer in a millisecond. Some of them are gonna say no, or some of them are gonna say what Nicole said, that it's at the end but not really. So yeah, so you can kind of see on the reaction of the people if they're thinking of the 10 or not. If they're struggling with the answer a second longer or 2 seconds longer than someone would, then you know it must be the 10 of spades. At the beginning you need to be a little bit careful. If you see someone is struggling with the answer, is unsure or is gonna say no, you can always going 100% sure by saying, isn't it the second last letter? I think it's the second last letter. You can always go the secure way and ask this question also, okay? So with that you are 100% safe at the end. Now we are almost through the first phase, but how do we force the cards? The first thing you need to know is that you need to mark the cards. But you don't need to mark all the 10 cards that you are forcing, only 2, which are the first and the last one. You mark them on the back side, the 8 and the 9 of clubs. You mark them on the back side, so that if you look at the back side of the deck, you can see a marking somewhere here and a marking somewhere here. Because you need to, when you fan the cards, of course, you need to know where your forcing cards are. Later on you grab into the fan and you're gonna make way for these forcing cards so that they become more visible in the force. Okay, but how do you mark them? I leave that up to you. I give you a few ideas on how to do that. You can use your favorite way. Mine is a nail nick. A nail nick is, you take your fingernail and you push it inside this edge here of the cards. Okay, you take it and you push it inside, but just a little bit, okay? It will look like this. I'm showing you some pictures. You see that it is not really deep. It is just so deep that you can see it if you're holding the card a little bit away from you. And, but not so deep that any spectator will think that it is something man-made for purpose. It can definitely look as if it's a mistake, as if the cards fall down or something happened to them. I've never had a spectator tell me that this looks suspicious or something else, and I use nail nicks a lot in other performances also. Okay, I have a nail nick on this corner here and also on that corner, so that I don't need to care about if the deck is this or this way. Otherwise, if you don't like nail nicks, you can bend the corner of the card. This is called a crimp also. You can bend it just a little bit. I'm doing this to make it, I'm over exaggerating, but I'm blending you a few pictures in so you can see it can look like this. Normally you wouldn't bend the corner that much, just a little bit. And even that flies by normal spectators, okay, if you don't do it too much with the bending. Yes, but if you're at the beginning of training with this trick, and you have a bad A side, you can mark the cards with a pencil on the back side, okay? I have this made just, maybe you can see it, I don't think so, okay, but just to make you see how it looks. Even markings can fly by with spectators if they're good. You can use a pencil and just do a dot somewhere in the corner. And I think no spectator will think that, only because in a deck of cards he finds two cards that has dots somewhere in the corner, that this means something. Some spectator will be a little bit suspicious, that's why I'm not using this technique, but it can fly by. So especially for training purpose, or if you're in a dark environment, you can use that, or you can use marked cards that are marked by itself. I mean, you buy marked cards, that's also a possibility. If the cards are marked, you place them on top of the deck. And this is how you start every performance. They're on top of the deck. You hand the deck out. This is the first thing you do to your spectator. You tell them that they are able to look through the cards. They should make sure that no card is repeating itself. All 52 cards are in there and they can look at the back sides if they want. And when they hand you the deck back, you take it and you tell them what's going to happen. You say, in a second I'm going to fan the cards like this in front of your ace. At this point, I do as if I forgot to shuffle, or as if I think it's necessary to do so, okay? And then I say, I shuffle the cards. I take roughly about 1/3 from the bottom of the deck, not more, and I'm not shuffling like this, I'm shuffling like this, okay? So that even magicians get fooled by that. I'm starting with the smaller half, smaller third, and then I get into the normal shuffle. So this way I make sure that the 10 cards on top definitely will stay on top. Okay, how to make it slow. Okay, sounds perfect, sounds good, looks good. The 10 cards on top are still on top in the same order. And while I'm doing this, I'm talking, I'm giving instructions. Okay, so This is a little bit of misdirection, okay? I say in a second I'm gonna spread the cards in front of your ace like this. I'm gonna shuffle them. And I want you to only look at the card. Don't point at it, don't tell me which one it is, nothing, just look through the cards, choose one, and I will try to read your mind, okay? When they nod their head, I take again roughly about 1/3 of the cards, maybe a little less, and put it on top of the deck, so that the 10 forcing cards are now somewhere in the middle. Now, from here I can see on the side of the cards, I can see my 2 marked cards, my nail-nicked cards. So I know they're good in the middle. What I'm now doing is I'm fanning the cards, but not so widely. You see, that's not a good fan, it's a very short fan. This serves the purpose that no one can read the card right now, okay? Yeah, almost. 2 cards are readable, that's it. And this is what we want, because we don't want any cards to be readable other than our forcing cards. Now, I see my forcing cards from here. What I'm now doing is I'm grabbing into the deck where my forcing cards are, and I make way for them. It's hard to do it slow. Normally it should of course look much better. I'm doing it again, but a little bit faster. Okay. So this is how it should look like. While you're showing them the fan, you make sure they see that you're facing away. I'm showing you a picture again on how that should look like. It looks like this from the back side, so that you get a feeling for this, and it looks like this from front side. Okay, then you close the fan, that's it. For those of you who are not so good with the fan forcing, especially at the beginning of training this trick, there's one thing you can do to get the focus on the middle of the fan. This is something Vanacek suggests. You open up the fan and you move your hand like this a little bit, and you keep in motion, and you wave like this. I'm over exaggerating now so that you can see that. And if you do like this and be in motion, then the eyes of the spectator, the ace, they will focus on the middle of the cards, because these cards are now more easy to read than the ones on the sides. Also, before you fan, you can say something like, I'm not gonna showing the cards too long, I'm just open up the fan, I want you to get one card, and then I'm closing it, okay? So you kind of giving a little bit of pressure to the situation, so they don't go for they don't choose a card and the next and the next one, and they go for the cards on the side. You make sure they go for an easy one, because they know the cards will not be shown too long. Before I forgot, another idea would be also to just tell the spectator that they should go for a card in the middle. Of course, this is a little bit weaker than just fanning the cards and tell them to choose one, anyone, but it really doesn't make that a big difference, because again, we gave them the deck, they look through it, it's a normal deck of cards. You shuffled it in front of the ace, and you just fan the cards in front of the ace while you are facing away. So they have absolutely no reason to be suspicious about anything at all, okay? Even if you tell them to go for some cards in the middle. So guys, this is all you need to know to be able to perform the complete first phase. Let's go into the second one. Like with the first phase, before we go into the anagram of our cards that are in play, I'm gonna show you which one they are. We have the 7, the 10, the ace and the 9 of diamonds. And as you noticed, all of these cards are red, all of these cards are diamonds. And the numbers and the ace are chosen out of purpose. All this serves so that we have 3 direct 100% hits right at the beginning. But what you need to do in order to make sure that your spectator will pick one of those cards after they cut the deck is to make breather crimp inside of these cards. There are several breather crimps out there available. You can find them easily through the internet, but the one I'm doing is that you bend the card in a diagonal way like the pencil here shows you. One card this way, one card that way, and with the other cards too. I hope you can see that. From one corner, diagonal down to the other, you bend the card to its inside just a little bit. From the back side, it will look like this. That's enough, not more bending. You have to try a little bit out. Maybe you're bending too much, maybe too less, and the people will not cut to their card. You have to try it out yourself. So what happens is, let's say you take these cards now, these 4 bended cards, and don't bend all the cards the same way. Do it like I said. Bend one from the right corner down to the left, and the other card from the left corner, upper corner, down to the right, lower corner. Because so these cards don't get aligned if they accidentally come together when your spectator shuffles the deck. If they have the same diagonal bend, they will align each other, and that way you miss one card, in other words. Okay, because because 2 cards are now like as 1. So now we have only like 3 forcing cards in the deck, so to say. Okay, you take this card and take it on top of the deck. I'm gonna show you how it would look. This card that you're just seeing here is a little bit too bent. It's too much, just a little bit. But now you can see how it should look. Then you take this card and place it somewhere in the deck, in the middle of the deck. It's now somewhere in the middle of the deck. I don't know if you can see that little bit of air somewhere in the middle. And now your spectator, or yourself, you can try it yourself, you try to cut somewhere in the middle from the deck, and with a 90% accuracy, or maybe even more, you will cut at exact that point where the breather crimp card is located, because of the air and the space that this bended card is having between its above and the down card. And if you have 4 breather crimp cards, you have an almost 99.999% chance that your spectator will cut on one of these cards. And if they don't, you just tell them to cut again. And the same thing with the cards from the first anagram. You need to mark these cards a little bit, or you have a very good eyesight and you're able to see the bend. So after they shuffle the deck and cut themselves, you climbs a very short second if they really cut on the card, on one of these forcing cards. If not, you just tell them, you know what, cut again. So you know the cards that are in play and you know how to force them. Let's get into the anagram. The first thing I reveal is the color of the card. I tell the spectator to visualize the color on my hand, either black or red. I think that's a good way to start that routine. And after that I say, oh, that's very clear, I see the color red. Of course it's 100% hit because all of the cards are red. So right from the beginning you have a very good start, because also the next 2 sentences are also 100% hit. The next thing I'm gonna say is, now think of the first word, please, like in the routine before. See the letters. You are doing very great. I clearly can see the letter E. This is 100% right, because 7, 10, 9 and ace, there's in all these cards a letter E inside. And the next thing you're gonna say is, and I'm sure it is somewhere at the end. Of course, also 100% right. Since you are so sure about all of these statements now, and since these statements are all real, you are looking very good now to the spectator as a mind reader. Of course, also because of the first routine where you reveal the other card. So now we are starting with our anagram. The next thing you're gonna say is, there's also an N. And you again say this in a way, 50% as a statement, 50% as if it's a question, because you're not seeing the letter very clearly. If they say no, again you follow down the arrow, it must be the ace of diamonds. Okay? If they say yes, you say something like, yeah, it is also somewhere at the end. Hence the letter is at the end. This is also 100% true after they said yes, because 7, 9 and 10, all of these cards are having the letter N somewhere at the end. And then you say it's the last letter, right? Again, 50% question, 50% statement. If they say no, you know it must be the 9 of diamonds. If they say yes, you know it must be the 7 or the 10. Now you say, please say the word loud in your mind. It does sound as if one letter is twice in there. If they say yes, it's 7. If they say no, it's 10. And you're done. Now some of you might have noticed, or will notice later on, that the sentence here, please say the word loud in your mind, it does sound as if one letter is twice in there, does appear also in the first anagram. If you had a card in the first routine, in the first phase, like the 10 or the 7, and now the spectator chooses the same card, you can either try to say something else, or you're just gonna say the same thing, because, I mean the same sentence, because think about it. To the spectator, all of this looks extremely fair, and it is possible that he even chose the same card the second time. But this is not the same card, it's only the same number. So if he chose a 7 and is now choosing a 7 again in the second phase, it's not your fault, because he shuffled and took a card himself. So he never will suspect something suspicious only because you say something that sounds or is even the same sentence as before. The only thing you are doing is reading their minds, and if they think of the same letters in the same way, then what else can you do as to reveal the same things? So now we're through with the first and the second anagram, and also with forcing the cards. You're gonna start off by taking your deck of cards and your 10 forcing cards on top of this deck, and your other 4 forcing cards you put inside this deck. These 10 forcing cards I'm gonna stick out a little bit so you know how to put the other cards away from them. You put them somewhere, like in a way so that there is space in between these forced cards. Maybe 10 cards away from each other, maybe less. Okay, so now you have your 10 cards here on top and the other 4 cards somewhere in the middle. That's how you're gonna start off. Looks completely fair, of course. Now we are completely through with all of the instructions. You know everything you need to know to perform the whole routine, all of the 2 phases. And I really hope you like the idea as I do, and you give it a try. If you thought maybe anagrams, or especially the first anagram, is a little bit too much for you, please try it out. I promise you it's not that hard that you might think at the beginning. I invented it, so it's hard for me to say how long you will try to practice it. But as people said that came back to me, you can learn it in one evening. Of course, you will have a few tries then on other people, and your mind needs to learn how to. You might just need a little bit of practice to get all of this done while performing. Also, fanning the cards in the right way and stuff like that needs to be trained a little bit. But all of this is not that hard as training like a good second deal or something comparable. One little but also very big subtlety that I forgot. It's a little subtlety but it can play very big is, we take the example of Vanessa. I was having the card wrong on her, but at the same time this served me good because I could reveal that she looked at the card before that I was just telling her. I said 7 of hearts and she said no, she didn't choose the 7 of hearts. And then I said, oh, you choose the Queen of hearts? She said yes. And then I said, but why do I have the 7 in my mind? Did you look at the 7 before? You can say something like, did you decide to take the 7 before? And then as you saw on her reaction, she was astounded by that and said, yes, I thought. This serves, or I guess, if you had revealed the 2 thoughts of her, which makes it even more impossible, although it was a failure. And you can do this all the time. You can go for a guess, and after you reveal the card, you can say something like, did you saw the other card? And if you know the card, you know the positions of the other cards around the card, and you can take a wild guess. If they had chosen, for example, the 10 of spades, the King of spades is right beside of the 10 of spades, and it's a very good looking card. King, most men like king, so you can try to guess that, or you can go for the Ace of hearts, which is just 2 cards on the other side. If they didn't go for that, if they didn't choose the card before and then went for the 10 of spades, the chances that they at least had looked on that card are very high, and to them it will look like as if you just read their mind, because out of that fan they only saw 10 cards, but effectively they only saw a few of them. And if you reveal one of these cards, it looks to them like, wow, I was looking at like 3, 4, 5 cards in my mind through with my ace. I had 3, 4, 5 cards in my mind, and I choose one. He got that one that I choose, and he also saw one of the other cards that I was looking at. Now, before we wrap this up, I want to suggest a little bit of variations you can do to make this maybe more suitable to your performance style. Or if you think that 10 cards is too much, why not taking out the 2 cards that I told in the instructions before? You can take out 2 cards that you like and you adjust the anagram so that it fits more to your performance. If you're a beginner and you think the anagram is short enough and you're not so good in fanning the cards, fan forcing the cards, you can put 2 cards, you can add 2 cards to the anagram. Another example for beginners would be, don't take the Ace of Hearts as a fishing attempt. Take another card, like let's say the 3 of Diamonds, put it in, take this as the fishing attempt at the beginning. Of course you can leave that guess completely out if you want, this fishing try. But imagine this, you take the 3 of Hearts, for example, instead of the Ace of Hearts, and you take 3 aces, some aces, and put them also inside of this stack. Now, before you fan the cards, you tell your spectator, please don't go for an ace, because all the people are choosing an ace. After that you would think that I only knew that because of this reason. So now you're having 13 cards in your stack, so the fan gets a lot more wider. You can have the 3 aces, 2 of them right at the outside, at the edges of your fan, one of them in the middle, and the spectator will not go for it. And now shortly something on how to use the principle here of anagrams, the idea of anagrams in other areas of mentalism. You can adjust, you can take this principle and use it on, let's say, words of a stack of cards that you have. Let's say you have like 20 cards and they are all written on words on these cards. But you have chosen these words carefully because they fit very perfectly to an anagram. These words could be names or animals, cities, countries, etc. But you have picked these words in a way so that I'm just making an example right now, that in every word the letter E is inside and also the letter A. Now you have two direct hits at the very first beginning of your mind reading routine. You have this deck of cards in your hand, you shuffle them and let the spectator take one. You're not knowing which word he chose, which country in name or something else, but you know that the letter E and the letter A is inside, and you can start like that and right at the beginning look as a real mind reader, because that's true, what you're saying. From then on you can start something like, there's also some round letter like an O, can that be? If they say no, then you can say something like, well, maybe I mistaken that for an N. And from that on you can, I'm not having any anagrams with words like this right now. I'm working on something like this right now, but it's not finished. I can give you a good example right now, but you have the idea, I guess. And it's a lot of fun to do this work. It's a lot of fun to find ways to go the shortest and most realistic way down the anagram. It's fun to try this at home, sit down, write words, write anything down and try to find the shortest and most realistic way to read minds through an anagram. It's a lot of fun. And if you found something really good, then it's of course very convincing to the spectator. Also, for having ideas of different anagrams, I had given you a download of the JPG, of the picture of the German anagram for all of this here. I translated it into German, of course, since I speak German as a mother language, my mother language, and maybe, although you don't understand the words, you can see where this is going, okay? You can have a better understanding of how this should work, how you should work through anagrams. In the owners group for this here, which is called A Card Merrily Thought Of by Molly-Melbarge, the Facebook owners group, we will have hopefully discussions on all about this product here, about other anagrams, about people that modified this product here, this anagram, different ideas, and I will get my ideas and other anagrams also inside this group, so we can all have a lot of fun together with the principles in here. I thank you from the bottom of my heart to spare the time with me, to having the interest on the same routine that I developed, that I really love, and I hope that you try it out and that you have a lot of fun. And I hope that you could forgive me that this here is a low-cost production. I made all of this on my own. There was no big company behind me, and so I had to make everything on my own. I hope you can forgive me that I just blended in pictures of the paper that I handwritten on. Please forgive me for that. I had no other opportunities, but I thought it's okay, it's readable and anything like that. But if there are questions open, write me on Facebook, personally if you want. Yasin Kelebra is my name there. Don't ask me for my 1,000 names, please. Or just write in the owners group. Thank you very much. Bye bye.